Being contrarian, going against the grain, not following the crowd. We preach about this all the time on the channel. And if you don't hear from us, it's probably because you're not subscribed. So subscribe right now. I've always said that if you just went out there and saw what the average person was investing in and stayed away from that, you'd probably do pretty well, because the crowds tend to be wrong. And I always watch comedy shows, like stand-up comedy. Guys will be on the big stage, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, and all these guys will say, people out there are dumb. And everybody claps and claps and claps. And I'm like, you're all the dumb people out there. Everybody out there is dumb. I'm dumb in many ways, and I'm smart in many ways. You're dumb in many ways, and you're smart in many ways. But the one thing that you need to be aware of is where you're smart in investing. And if you follow the crowd, if you follow the hype, you will get in trouble eventually. Even if you're right a couple of times, as time goes on, those same decisions you made based on nothing but just following the hype will cause you a lot of money. Absolutely will cost you a lot of money. We look at Bitcoin and crypto. I always say, I think it's going to zero. And even if it doesn't, the people I see who invested in it are people who have no foundational understanding of value. And because of that, someday, even if they make 100 times their money on crypto, they'll probably lose that money in some other investment, thinking unduly that they had a good idea and their idea panned out. So what does it take to actually be able to go against the grain? It's very simple, but it's not easy. The ability to say no. That's it. N-O, no. And I still struggle with this in a lot of areas of my life, but mostly my personal life. In my personal life, I have a hard time sometimes saying no to people I love who make a request of me. But just remember something. As the Stoics say, and Ryan Holiday says, every time you say yes to somebody, you're saying no to a bunch of other things. So keep your yeses for the things that are most important. If I say yes to a friend that I don't hear from every 3 or 4 months to something, I've said no now to somebody very close to me that spends a lot of time with me that I'm close to on some requests they may have. And that's the hard part about saying no. You have to realize you have to disappoint somebody. But when you say yes, I think you're disappointing a lot more people. So keep your yeses for the people that are closest to you and the time commitments that are closest to you and most important to you. And in investments, you have limited capital, very limited capital. You're not Warren Buffett. You don't have $250 billion sitting around trying to invest. You have very limited capital. Your job is to say yes to as few deals as possible. But when they're the right deals, you go in on them. Warren Buffett's always said he thinks people should behave like they have a punch card in their lifetime. And they can only make 20 investments. And every time they make an investment, they punch the card, and that's one less investment they can make. That'll really make you understand your company inside and out that you're investing in. Now, do I believe in that? Not necessarily. However, I understand what he's saying there. Your capital is very, very, very limited. Make sure you understand what you're buying. And if you don't have the ability to do that, there's a great solution. You can crush all of your friends and coworkers in investing, low-cost index funds.
Our channel is all about investing and what it takes to be a good investor and remain a good investor. You look at these other channels out there, they go through quote unquote due diligence. They do all of their research on a company. They do everything in their power to say yes to buying that stock. Look at Peloton, look at Beyond Meat, all of these hype stocks. We do our best to say no. We use the 8 pillars as a perfect screening process. If everything lights up green with 8 pillars, it doesn't mean go buy the stock. If everything lights up red, it doesn't mean this is not a good stock. It's just a part of a screening process. And that's the greatest part about the 8 pillars, and something that many other investors, hype people, YouTubers do not understand. You want to be able to say no. We, and the likes of Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett, start by looking at a company's financials as a screening process. We don't go and look and say, hey, what is the bull and bear cases on this? What kind of products are these companies creating? No, we start by looking at the financials. We can look at a company, and you will be able to look at a company in 15 to 30 seconds and determine, no, I'm not wasting any more time on this. I don't care if MarketWatch or Barron's has a buy rating on this. We can look at something very quickly and screen it out. Look, see if they have crippling debt. See if they're diluting the heck out of shareholders. See if their free cash flow or their net income has just plummeted over the past couple of years. If everything looks good except for maybe one thing, like maybe their free cash flow has plummeted over the last couple of years, then maybe you say, okay, I'm gonna go and take some time to figure that out. Maybe it's an anomaly situation. Maybe something like COVID happened and it's skewing the entire company. That is when you go do some due diligence. Other than that, move on to the next. Our time is very valuable. Your time is very valuable. Time is the most valuable asset that any of us have, and in investing, that's where it matters a lot.
In the world of investing, I can tell you two people to say no to at all times. Jim Cramer, Cathie Wood. These two morons have no understanding of the world of investing. Basically, follow them if you want to know what not to do. I love my friends. I have some friends who are absolute morons when it comes to investing. I always tell them, please tell me what you're investing in. They think I'm complimenting them. I'm not. I'm just basically finding out which stocks to avoid. Because if they're interested in it, it means it's probably past the time. If they hate it, it means it's something I need to look into. I love saying no in the investing and business world because once I learned how to make money and once I realized that it's easy to lose money, you become a lot smarter. But when I have a yes, I push the chips in. Now, I don't go all in, but I'm very aggressive. I used to always tell people I'm conservative, but I'm aggressive. I'm a conservative in the sense of if it's not obvious to me very quickly, I ain't doing it. If I have to be convinced of it, probably not the right deal for me. But the second I get it, I'm in. There was a story a few years ago. Two of my good friends, Darnell and Natalie. Natalie was a stylist. Darnell played in the NFL. Great guys, great people. And they came to me because Natalie was a stylist and she wanted to open a salon lofts kind of place and she wanted to do it herself. So they explained it to me. And I misheard something on the rent. They were explaining to me a per week rent. I kept hearing per month because I'm in the world of apartments. I thought per month. And I'm like, guys, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. And finally, Darnell looked at me and goes, Paul, I said something about it's per month. He's like, it's per week, not per month. And I literally took the pen, threw it across the room. I said, let's go do it. Literally that quickly. It took about 10 minutes before Darnell goes, wait a second, you just said per month. It's per week. And literally that day it was done. When I look at apartment deals, I can look at all the apartments I've bought and all the houses I've bought. It was that obvious to me very quickly. I want that. Why? I saw the numbers immediately, boom. And guess what? I was just a higher bidder by a lot of money. And I was fine with that because they've all done very well because I saw something that made sense to me. But I say no to so many. I always tell people, give me a stock, give me 5 years of financials, give me on a piece of real estate, give me 3 years of financials and rent roll, and give me an ask price on both those. And I'll tell you very quickly if I'm even interested or not. If I look at it going, I'm probably not interested. If I look at it going, yep, that's the one, I'm in. Now, how did I get that way? By saying no to a lot of things. I figured out the shortcuts that allowed me to say no quickly. You know what? I'm not the right guy for this deal. You know, I'm not the right guy for this thing. I don't see it. Hear me all the time talk about Amazon. Amazon confuses me. I don't look at Amazon and think obvious. There are a few other companies I look at and say, okay, these are obvious. And there will be a time in investing and in stocks when there are going to be so many yeses, it's going to be hard to determine which one to buy. It'll basically be, okay, this one's giving me a projected return of 15% a year. This one's 13. I'll take that one. That's going to happen, but that all came from one place, learning to say no. On my personal time, I remember once offending a family member of mine who was very close to me because I said yes to somebody doing something, and they were like, well, wait, I need to do this. I'm like, I'm already committed to that. And they were like, that person? You committed to that? I need this. And I'm like, because I'm very strong on my commitments. The second I say yes, I want to honor it. And I realized, you know what? Sometimes it means just saying no, even if I have nothing to do, because something else or somebody closer might come up. That sounds awful, but it's true. And that's why now I say no to a lot of things. The other thing is I value my free time. I value sitting on the couch doing nothing. I value sitting around with my dogs. And somebody might say, hey, why aren't you doing this? You're not doing anything. Yeah, I know. I want to do nothing. That's okay with me. That's all part of the world of investing. I'm okay doing nothing. How many investors are okay doing nothing? Not many. I'm okay doing nothing. And I was criticized over the last 2 years. This guy hasn't made money in 4 or 5 years. Yeah, but last year I wasn't down 30%. I was up 8%. That gets rid of a lot of years of misses. And I only think it's going to get worse. Same with real estate. I wasn't as aggressive as real estate. I remember in 2006, somebody telling me, Paul, you buy real estate like you're buying a bond. That person proceeded to lose a couple properties in real estate. And during the real estate crash, I made tons of money. I bought lots of properties. I made millions. That person is now making millions again, but they had to lick their wounds, lost a few properties, and losing properties will cost you money. Because I learned to say no on real estate deals. But how did that happen? From making bad ones, unfortunately. And that's probably what's gonna happen with you. You're gonna have to learn the hard way, like I did. Lose money, offend somebody you love. That's when you start to value your time.
Saying no to people may hurt their feelings. Let me tell you a quick story. When I was in my early 20s, my goal was to be able to say no to everything and everyone by the time that I was in my 30s. Fortunately, I was able to accomplish that, but it's because I wanted my time. I wanted to be able to say, if I do not want to do this, I don't have to do that. If I do not have to hang out with this person or be around this toxic person, I do not have to do that. It hurts other people. It can. But you have to realize that you need to do things for yourself and focus on yourself. I first heard this quote from Alex Rodriguez. A-Rod is not the first person to say it. Buffett has said it. Many others have said it. Show me your 5 friends and I will show you your future. You are a compilation of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Back in 2019, 2020, I had a group of friends. High school friends. We went a long ways back. But they were toxic people. I completely cut them out of my life. If you're the person that's toxic, you don't need to remain that way. You can change. And hopefully this video will spark something in you. Be the person that people want to be around. That should be your goal. Those people tend to be the people that want to be liked, the crowd pleasers, the people that start drama, the people that always want to be involved in everything. Just be yourself. You don't need to be the drama starter. You don't need to be the person that everybody likes. There's a lot of people that don't like me. There's a lot of people that don't like Paul. That might be many of you that are watching this that say, I hate this guy. I hate Paul in the next scene. That's what it takes. You're not gonna be loved by everybody and you have to understand that. So saying no, and saying no to people, but also it brings us back to stocks. Say no to the fear of missing out. Guys, in 2020, I have not seen something like that for quite some time. Stocks that should not be flying off the charts that children were making money on. Literal kids in their 16, 17, 18 years old were making money on stocks. I had 10-year-olds that were making money trading. That is not a normal situation. But when you see a 10-year-old making money and you're 30 and you're not making that money, you say to yourself, I need to be involved in that. If a 10-year-old can do it, I can do it. That is FOMO, fear of missing out. Do not get sucked into the fear of missing out, especially when it comes to hype stocks, Bitcoin, these types of situations. They are not going to run forever. You may be saying, saying no can be very difficult. Where do I begin? Well, where to start is pretty easy. Just start. Start with something small. Something that I really like to do. I like to prioritize my day. I write down exactly what I need to do in my reminders app and just create a little bit of a list. Anything that is a distraction outside of that list, before I get that list done, I do not do until later in the day. So if I need to do my Spanish, I get that done. My prep for the morning show, I get that done. Any options that I need to go through, I get that done. And I physically go through and check things off. Why? It makes you feel really good when you get something accomplished. And at the end of the day, if you haven't checked something off, it makes you feel pretty bad inside. So start with one thing on the list. Start with something as easy and cliche as making your bed. Check it off every single day. Add a second thing to the list. And say no to the things that distract you from that list. Say no to those things, and if you have time later in the day, that's when you can go forward with them. But getting started is the hardest thing to do, but also the easiest thing to do. Just start.
Look at my personal time. I offer consulting on a real estate deals through this channel, and I charge now $15,000 for 4 hours. It used to be $10,000 for 4 hours, but too many inquiries came in, and I was like, I don't want that many. I value my time. Now, is my time really worth $4,500 an hour? Do I make $10 million a year? I don't make $10 million a year, but guess what? I value my time immensely. And that's the big thing. So here at Everything Money, this is what we get. We get a lot of requests for us to look at things, check things out, endorse things. I say, no, this is not worth my time. And I don't mean that arrogantly. I mean it in a sense of, I have now understood how much my free time matters to me. The old cliche, I can always make more money, I cannot make more time. You and I have the exact same amount of time in the day. The exact same. Doesn't matter how much money I have or you have or anybody doesn't have, we still have 24 hours in the day. Whenever I get pitched an idea, I think to myself, will this take away from something else that I very much value? When we have an idea that I've shut down 2 businesses in the last 2 years that were profitable, but they weren't profitable enough. And my thought was, I'm using my time and my people's time on businesses that aren't doing as well, that aren't making enough money to justify our time. We could spend it on the businesses that are doing very, very well, like Everything Money, like our apartments, like our luxury home rental business, and grow those immensely with that same time with a much higher return. Learn to say no. It will suck at first. It's uncomfortable, but guess what? You can do it in a polite way, and once you learn how to do it, life becomes a lot freer. Thank you very much, guys. Don't forget to subscribe.